All right, so the Jackson attack in episode two, season two of The Last of Us was kind of a banger, honestly. I mean, compared to episode one, where I don't even care to say spoilers because barely anything happened, it was a really good episode. It was a really good scene. It might be my favorite scene of the whole show so far. Um, but there was a lot of stuff that I just thought they could have done better, because I don't know about you guys, but I would rather see characters in a show or a book or a movie who are actually quite smart and would do the things that, the audience is thinking they should do, but then they face, difficulty anyway because the situation is so dire. Like that's a much more interesting scenario than, you know, the one that these writers make, where they just assume that the audience just doesn't know any better and just make a really silly scenario where the characters are just dumb. And it's happened a lot with Ellie and some of the stuff she did in episode one, and I just thought,
Run at me, fucker!
can we just get some smart characters? Like, but to be fair to them, with the Jackson attack, do some kind of they did do some smart things. I mean, the oil barrel thing really did work a treat. The dogs was really cool. Definitely a last resort, as we saw. I think her name's Mary or Marie. She definitely hesitated with that, and then I think she waited till things were quite bad to release the dogs. But there was something so satisfying about how, because the infected are so vicious and they have this energy of like just ferocious, they're just like frothing at the bloody mouth to kill people. And then, just sending that energy back at them with these dogs who are just so ready to go. They're just so game. Like, I love that. I love that so much. They use flamethrowers as well, which was really cool. Um, they obviously know that fire is the weakness. But my God, why was no one using Molotov cocktails? Like, can we just can we just make a couple? Like, you guys obviously have alcohol. So just make some goddamn Molotovs. All you had to do was like have a few people, like 10 guys, just throw Molotov cocktails at the bloater, and you would have taken him out before he even hit the wall, probably. So I didn't understand that. And I didn't understand why they haven't used spikes yet. Like, just have some bloody spikes on the wall, or like have them facing kind of in a downward way on top of the wall, or just something like that. Like, definitely have them at the bottom so they can't even climb up. They just like run straight into the spikes, like, because the only thing I can think of is that the logs and the trees are too far away from the settlement for them to actually build that in a kind of sufficient way. But they do obviously have some machinery. They do have some trucks and stuff. And we know that because they used the trucks to actually like support the door, so it didn't like break so easy. Um, so it's kind of weird. They sort of like half know what they're doing, but there's a lot of obvious stuff they didn't do. I am aware that it was a very impromptu, like, you know, they didn't expect a horde of thousands of zombies to show up. So they did okay considering. Um, I thought they could have started shooting a lot sooner than they did. I mean, they have like rifles and snipers and shit. Like, why are you guys not firing like straight away? Like, just waiting for them to get close. Like this isn't Lord of the Rings, dude. You don't have bow and arrows. Um, but I did think that the oils obviously worked. Um, I would say dig ditches because I'm a big proponent of that when I watch Game of Thrones. The White Walker attack and um, there's a lot of sieges and shows and movies where, they just don't use spikes, they don't use ditches. But I think in this case, ditches wouldn't be as effective as you'd think because they would fill up with snow and maybe even ice or something. The snow after a while would get quite compact. Maybe, I'm not sure. It could also fill up with bodies if you have a big enough horde, but I still think it's kind of worth it because, I mean, A, it would take a while to fill up, and B, even if it does fill up with snow, if another human like tribe or whatever tries to attack you, like drive around and they might be driving into a ditch, right? So it kind of stops like heavy machinery being, rolling up to your castle, your walls. I was about to say your castle walls, but they obviously got on the rooftops, which was a good idea. But I think what would be better is if the houses and buildings themselves were more barricaded better and to have a final choke point that you can all run back to, even if there's not that many of you left, like because it's a choke point and, maybe the infected have to be funneled into this one doorway. It's very effective. Like it's very, very effective. I mean, we figured this stuff out like 5,000 years ago, so or even longer. Um, I would just have one final building that's quite strong, that is extremely barricaded, except for like one door that's a bit weaker, and just make sure that they go through there. And then you could have like a Zulu-esque, I don't know if anyone's seen Zulu, but those British formations, the redcoats when they had like one line crouching, another line standing behind them, and then another line behind them that was like standing on a box or something. And you just have a constant rate of fire because, while one line is shooting, another line is reloading. And I'm aware that we're not using flintlock guns and shit anymore, but it would still make sure that that not everyone in the room is reloading at the same time. And I think, to be honest, they've probably got a lot of time on their hands, these people. So why not just like discipline yourselves like a bit of a military? Like have, if there's a hundred guys in settlement, just have like 10 squads of 10. And each squad has a squad leader, let's say, who has a bit more experience in combat. And just do drills where you like because this bloater came along and I thought, why don't a certain amount of the people on the wall just like target him specifically? Because if you had these 10 squads of 10, you could say, okay, squad one, um, have Tommy say, squad one, target the bloater, and squad two, throw Molotov cocktails at him, and, squad three, do this, you see what I mean? Like, I think that would work quite well. Um, And yeah, the last thing I would say is if you are going to have a final position to make your last stand, that's like a choke point, I would definitely make some kind of secret way out if you can, whether that's like, a very secured tunnel or somewhere you can escape to high ground, or I don't know, something like that would be perfect. Um, but yeah, so. Obviously, didn't expect the show to implement all of these, but no, they did well. They did well. They obviously survived. So yeah, but that's my thoughts. Let me know if maybe I'm wrong on anything, or if you guys have any other ideas, other cool things that you would do in that situation. Comment down below. Yeah, thanks for watching.
Yikes.
What did you just say? No, Ellie.